Welcome to this short demonstration of GroupWise 8 for Windows. There will also be demos available online covering the Linux and Macintosh clients and web access. Studies have shown that most people use only 10 to 15% of the capabilities of their email client. This is the standard look of most mailboxes, with just the user's inbox and the folder list showing. All we've ever expected from our email client is inbox and calendar, but not anymore. With GroupWise 8, we're taking user productivity to another level with what we call the Home View. The Home View is a fully customizable, high-performance dashboard that gives you easy access to your most important data. It's as simple as choosing what you want to see, then choosing how you want to see it. Whether the data is in your mailbox, your calendar, your tasks, or even on the web, you can bring it all into one central location. In this example, we've chosen a 3-column layout. We have our task list down the left-hand column. I'll explain what all these different colours mean later on when we talk about categories. Then we have our mailbox in the centre so that we can see important emails as soon as they arrive. We also have a graphical view of our contacts down here. And over here we have our calendar with today's appointments. You can configure anything from just one column to as many columns as you like to construct your own home view. But what if these panels are too small for you? Then in that case, just simply double click the title bar and that will maximize that particular view. That one's your mailbox. And then double clicking here will bring up my calendar in a larger view. If you want to rearrange the appearance of your home view, moving these panels around is just a simple case of drag and drop. So I can move the contacts over here. That will expand my mailbox view and make room for it by shrinking the task view. Let's go ahead and move that back again. As well as being fully customizable, the information in these panels can also interact with each other. So for example, if you receive an email that pertains to something you have in your calendar, you can just drag it over and drop it into your calendar as a posted appointment. You may be wondering what's happened to your folder list. That can be pulled up and hidden just by clicking this button here. However, you don't have to have the folder list on display all the time in order to use it. If I, for example, wanted to file this email in a different folder, then all I have to do is drag it over towards the folder list and it will automatically pop out and I can drop it in anywhere I like. While we're on the subject of the folder view, let's just pop that out again. What I want to show you now, real quick, is the integration that we have in GroupWise 8 with Novell Teaming. You can see my folder list here, but down here I also have Novell Teaming. And this user I'm logged in as, Jill Fontaine, can browse her own personal workspace here, and she can also look at the content for any of the team workspaces that she's a member of. 10th Mountain Ski Company project that she's a member of, there's some data pertaining to that, and also in Teaming we have some other graphics to do with that project as well. So in this way, Jill can get a combined view of all of her collaboration environment, both her GroupWise mailbox and also her Teaming workspaces. Let's close the folder list now and return to the home view once again. And if one home view isn't enough for you, why not create some more, each tailored to a specific aspect of your work. For example, here's our travel view, where we've some live web content from airlines, weather reports, and customized views of our contacts and tasks, showing just those that we've tagged as travel related. This way we can get a personalized travel dashboard with just the click of a mouse. And once again, if you want to expand these web panels, just double click the window title and you can get a good view of those there. Likewise, for those of you who administer your GroupWise system, you can create an administration home view and pull in all relevant information, including key emails, contacts, and even view GroupWise Monitor to get a live view of your GroupWise system. And once again, I can double click the panel title bar to maximize the GroupWise Monitor view. Let's go back to the home view again. Now let's talk about task management. The great thing about GroupWise 8 task management is that anything can be a task. How often do you get an email that contains an action item that you need to complete? Now you can simply drag and drop that email into your task list. Let's try that with this email here. I'm just going to drag this over to my task list and make it a new task. Simple as that. What can we do with this new task once it's been put in the task list? Well, if we double click it to edit it, here we can add a due date. So if we add a date when the task is due, that task will now appear in our calendar as well. Another thing you can do is you can enter a % complete So you've got a graphical view of the progress that you're making against your tasks. So let's put in, say, 25% here, and then let's close that. And what you see now alongside the task is a small graph showing your completion. Another cool thing you can do with tasks is you can create subtasks. So for example, if this prints to meeting action is related to this task down here, I can drag it down and I can make it a subtask of that one. And then what you'll see is the graphics will change, that this individual subtask is still 25% complete, but now we have a graphic on the main parent task showing an overall completion, taking into account all of the subtasks brought together. The last thing I want to show you on task management is that if we just right click over here and bring up this menu, here's where we can control what happens to tasks when you mark them as completed. You can select to hide completed items immediately. As soon as you tick complete, they disappear off the list, or you can hide them after a day, so that for a day after you've completed the task it will still show up in your list but will show up as completed. Now let's talk about categories. Categories are simply a way of color coding specific emails or tasks or appointments in your GroupWise system to group them together on different topics. So you'll see in the task list, for example, that some of these are kind of this purpley mauve color. That's because I've designated that color to be my travel category. For example, I can categorize any item in GroupWise, whether it's a task, an appointment or an email. So if I right click on this appointment here and go to categories and call that travel, you should see that that will go the same color. Now that that appointment's been categorized as travel, it will appear in our travel home view that I showed you earlier. Now let's talk about contact management. Here I've got one of the panels on my home view is viewing the contacts, so let's just double click that to maximize it. And you'll see that with contacts we've introduced a new business card look and feel that makes your information easier to view and easier to customize. Let's double click on Nancy just to look at some more detail on her. And what we see here is a summary of all Nancy's information. And if I want to customize that or add to it, then I click on the Contact tab. So here's where I go in and add more details to Nancy's business card. I can drag and drop in photos. I can add a second email address for her if she has a personal address or multiple work addresses. If that's not enough, I can add a third or maybe even a fourth. There's no limit to the number of email addresses you can have for a single contact. Let's just move those out of the way for a moment. Also, I can add instant messenger IDs. This gives me a choice of all the popular providers, ICQ, MSN, Google Talk, Skype, etc. I can add additional phone numbers, and if I click here, this will give me multiple categories of phone number, including car phone, BlackBerry, BlackBerry PIN, and so on. If I want to add even more detail than that, I go up here and click on the Details tab. And here I can add more details such as Nancy's profession, more information about her work and who her manager is. I can keep track of her birthday or other anniversaries. I can even enter information about her family members. If she has a personal homepage, I can edit that here. And down here is where I can enter Nancy's free busy information. So if Nancy, even if she's not using GroupWise, if Nancy has an email client that can publish free busy information via iCal, she can send that to me and I can import it here. And then if I want to schedule an appointment with Nancy, I can do a busy search and her free busy information will show up in the calendar. Also, if we look at the address tab, I have Nancy's address in here, and just by clicking this link here, I can pass the address into Google Maps and view a map of where Nancy lives. Also, over on this side of the contacts view, I have notes, so I can just enter a note here. And save that, and that will be stored in the contacts business card. If you click on the history tab, you get a nice handy history of the appointments and email conversations that you and Nancy have had together. Now I'm going to go ahead and close this and return to the home view, and we'll move on to our last topic for this demo, which is calendaring. Okay, the last thing I want to show you in this demo is the calendar. So we'll move up to the calendar tab, and you can look at Jill's calendar here. Here she's got a week at a glance view, but you can customize that to show a day, a month, a year, and so on. If I open up the folder view and look at the calendar from that perspective, you can see that Jill has set up a multiple user calendar view containing all the members of her team. So the appointments over here include a mix of Jill's own appointments and those of her team members. For example, you can see that Ted has an orange colour associated with his appointments, so that means that this appointment down here is on Ted's calendar. To make Jennifer's calendar stand out more, we'll set a colour on her as well. So we just go in here and specify a colour we want Jennifer's calendar appointments to appear as. And when we do that, you can see straight away which appointments are for Jennifer's calendar. Another new thing in the GroupWise calendar is support for multiple time zones. So if you might want to schedule meetings or conference calls with people in different countries on other time zones, then you can go ahead and add that here. This is currently on the London time zone, GMT. What I'm going to do now is add a display for an additional time zone. We might want to schedule conference calls or meetings with people on Mountain Standard Time, which is GMT -7. So we'll just tick to display that, and then we get both time zones displayed alongside, and that really helps you when you're scheduling meetings and calls and reminds you of what time your colleagues' work days start and finish. Final two things I want to talk about relating to the calendar are, the first one is subscriptions. So if we go here, we have an option to subscribe to calendars. Now this allows you to subscribe to public calendars over the internet using the iCal sharing protocol. If you do a search on Google, then you can find shareable calendars for US public holidays, sports teams. There's even one I've seen which automatically sends you movie release dates and things like that. So you can combine your personal and work calendar with any internet calendar you want to. And the final thing to talk about with regards to changes in the calendar in GroupWise 8 is auto accept. This isn't something you need to configure. It's simply a situation where if you send out an appointment to other people, it will automatically accept the appointment in your own calendar. What it used to do was send the appointment to your mailbox, and you're obviously going to accept it because you're the person who sent it. That has gone away now, and any appointment that you send out will automatically be accepted into your own calendar. Alright, that wraps it up for calendar. I'm just going to close the folder view and come back to the home view to wrap up here. Okay, so now we're back on the home view. We'll wrap up the demo. There's just two more things I'd like to tell you about GroupWise 8. Number one is auto save. This means that when you're typing an email or an appointment, if you have any kind of problem with your system, you don't need to worry because GroupWise will automatically save things as you type, so there's no longer a need to save to work in progress if you're partway through a long email. And the final thing I want to show you is the Brainstorm training icon. So if your users want to have immediate help or training regarding the new GroupWise 8 client, they can just click here, and there's some free computer-based training from Brainstorm Inc. that will help to get them on their way. So that wraps up our demo. We've shown you how GroupWise 8's home view, multiple home views, task management, contact management with the business cards and new additions to the calendar, combined with the free training from Brainstorm, will help you to take your users' productivity to another level.